what is it like to be at the helm of a bakery in Syracuse, New York that's been around for 120 years?
That's cool, man. I love it. I love everything about the business. Love the customers. After 24 years, you get pretty familiar with people, and you see them on a daily and weekly basis. You become friends with them.
Yeah.
So it's cool. I mean, I loved it. I love the family aspect of it. I love the fact that my whole family's been there. That's where we all started.
Yeah.
There's a lot to appreciate with like the old guys that worked there when I started. They were tough, man. They were tough. But I mean, you appreciate that now.
For sure. Yeah. How old were you?
I was 20. Not even, it was 19. Yeah.
When you first started working
When I
there?
first started, I was 19.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was tough.
Yeah.
Those guys were brutal. But yeah, I loved it. I love everything about it.
Yeah. I mean, so Columbus it's the oldest bakery in Syracuse, correct? It's still open because like the only other, what was the, I know Community was around for a while.
They were around. Dolores has been around for a real long time.
Dolores has been around for a while, that's right.
I don't know if it's been 130, but it's 100 and something.
Okay.
And they do well too. They're fine.
Yeah,
they have, you can't be around over 100 years and not be good.
Yeah.
I mean, they're fine. They do well. They have their following of people just like we do, and they have their own thing. They do well.
Yeah, for sure.
And I know the owner of Dolores is a great guy.
Yeah.
So I mean,
yeah,
they're good.
I posted my my North Side bakery tour that me and my son, who's 2, sometimes maybe once a month or whatever, we'll go on the North Side bakery tour on Sundays. And, it's always like Dolores, Nino's, Lincourt, Lombardi's, Columbus.
Oh, yeah.
And it's pretty fun. My grandfather and grandmother, who grandpa was Sicilian, grandma was Italian. I forget if they came over. I believe that they came over. I think that they were first generation. Mm-hmm. I don't think that they were born here in America. I could be wrong, but anyways, they were, it was the old North Side Italian. And so we live on the North Side now, unfortunately and fortunately, depending on the
where
time
you are.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, that butternut corridor is pretty rough.
It's not like it used to be.
No.
Not like it used to be at all.
But for me, now doing this with Eat Local for 8 years, 10 years, and, I'm 38, you start to get a little older, you start to think more about, the past and, family and, all that kind of stuff, legacy. It's so important for me that my son sees Columbus Bakery, I mean, you guys are making bread but it's a massive part of my family's history. It's crazy.
Yeah. You can see a lot of that too, during the holidays and stuff like that. When it's that time of the year where people will wait for hours, and they're waiting happily, and they're with their whole family because that's their family tradition, is to wait on Christmas Eve all day outside.
That's awesome.
It's kind of crazy, but yeah, I get it, man. It's made its mark in this town.
For sure, without a doubt. All right, so Columbus, you guys make bread. Mm-hmm. That's all you do.
That's it.
Has there ever been a time where it's we need to I know there was a little stint with the deli, right? Or sort of, but is it hard to just do that?
The bakery part?
Yeah, is it hard to just bake bread?
No. I mean, the way we do it is just different than the way everybody else does it. Mm-hmm. The deli part, my dad had that when he was the owner, and that was great. Mm-hmm. That did really well. It's just COVID hit, and the majority of that business was a lunch crowd. Mm. And when COVID hit, everybody worked from home, and we didn't have one, so he shut that down. I would reopen that at some point. I think the area is it really needs to clean up a little bit
for sure
before you put tables outside and stuff like that. You can't do that right now. But yeah, timing wise, it's just not the right time for that. And then, I'd love that part of it. The bread part of it is not hard. Yeah. It's different in the fact that you're doing it all by hand. It's not like it is now where people will get it already made but frozen. You just pop it in and it comes out. No, it's you know, it's a process. The only thing that we don't do by hand is mix it. We have a big, huge machine that we mix 800 pounds at a time in and cut it into individual pieces and roll it individually, let it raise, and then we'll shape it, let it raise, and then we'll shoot it and take it out.
Okay.
So it's a very repetitious situation. Like you're doing the same thing at the same time every single day.
Yeah.
So to train people, it's not really that difficult because you just got to tell them to remember what you're doing today because you're going to do it tomorrow and the day after. But yeah, I mean, it's not hard. I can see why it couldn't be hard for some people because you will never realize how much you never use your left hand until you try to make a loaf of bread. So that's for right-handed people. But it's, you know, when they get a hang of it, they're fine.
Yeah.
My son just started a year ago.
Wow.
And he even said that I've never felt my forearms like that before. It's just a different way of making it now.
Oh, for sure.
Than it is now to make it anyway.
Yeah. I had I had like 2 years of, we had 3-1 fried, like a ghost kitchen fried chicken sandwich thing. And, you know, just the repetition of like shoving the chicken breast into the flour to make, you know, after a while, it's like your shoulder, you start to feel that.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right. So the history is, so your grandfather had it and then passed it on to your dad.
Yep.
But was Columbus a bakery that your grandfather bought, or did he start it?
No, so he came here from Greece when he was 19.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure it was his uncle that was a partner in the business.
Yeah.
And from what I've been told is that at the time when my grandfather came here, there were 7 partners. And my grandfather worked throughout the years, and as the years went on, one would pass away or retire, and the other one would buy the other one out, or this, that. So he kind of just waited until there was like 2 left, and they were very, very old. And he just bought them out.
Wow, okay.
And then he just took over from there and just stayed the owner for God knows how many years. And then my dad got involved when he was 14. And that was my dad's first and last job. He just worked there for 50 years and owned it for 20. And then I started when I was 19 and then stayed until he was done.
Yeah.
So it's just been kind of the same thing, just with a different person in our family. My grandfather would have kept working, though. Okay. I think. He retired late. He retired at 72, but that guy was an animal.
Your grandfather?
Like, oh, yeah. He was made differently. I mean, he wouldn't stop. He was there for 17 hours a day, every day till he was 72 years old. He just wouldn't stop.
Wow.
They don't make him like that anymore.
Yeah.
But my dad had that, too. My dad was an animal, too. And when he owned it, I mean, the guy was there relentlessly. He was, I mean, you have to be in that kind of business. You just do, especially when you're working with your hands and you have one product and, you know, whatever. Those guys drilled it in my brain, and I drive my guys crazy. I really do. And I don't mean to, but I do. But, like, we make one thing.
Yeah.
Like, make it right. And, I mean, I'm on them about that. And they were a lot meaner than me, but they were, you know, it's a tough thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's Italian bread, you know. You guys have got, what, 3-4 shapes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you're right. You know, if that's what you're doing and that's what you're known for, it better be the same thing. Every fucking day.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, you know, it's just it is such. It's like walking in there. It's like walking back in time. You know. I mean, granted, like we're Syracuse, right? You know, it's not like we're Los Angeles, but still, it's like walking back in time. You don't see places like Columbus Bakery often anywhere.
I think there's only 5 bakeries like that left.
Wow.
In America, and you know that my dad and my grandfather like drilled it. And my grandfather did it to my dad, and my dad did it to me to not change a thing. Like, you don't change anything.
Wow.
You just don't. And you don't argue with those guys.
So what is the oven? Is it wood fired?
It's gas fired now.
Okay.
But it was coal for many years. My
Really?
grandfather changed it to gas when the year I was born.
Wow.
So now we just have burners that are on when it hits a certain temperature, it'll kick on. When it goes, when it hits the temperature, it shuts off.
Yeah.
But the ovens are very, very old. The company that made the ovens, they went out of business in 1930.
Wow.
But they're still working for us beautifully.
That's awesome.
And that's what brings, I feel like brings the flavor of the bread. What it is those bricks that have been seasoned with flour for 130 years. And I mean, you just can't replicate that.
What else have you cooked in there? You've got a pizza.
I had a stint when I was young. When I don't know if you remember the bar down the street, Big Shots.
I know the name.
Yeah, there used to be a bar, Big Shots, down the street, and I had a little stint of, instead of going down there and drinking, I was too young. I would just make pizzas at night. So all the drunk people would come down, and I would just hand pizzas out.
That's awesome.
And then my dad got wind of that and shut that down real quick. And then somebody smartened up and saw that I did that, and they actually opened a pizza shop down the street.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it was all right.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So yeah, and then my dad had a bunch of for a while he had a lot of Cubans that worked.
Okay.
And I don't know how they found this huge metal slab, but they would bring a pork and throw the whole thing in there.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
And it would smell beautiful.
Holy shit.
They would do that like a couple times a year, and it would be good.
Yeah.
But yeah. So they used to do that. Other than that, like usually pizzas and that stuff is
yeah.
But usually it's just the bread. There's no room really for anything else, to be honest.
Yeah.
We fill that thing pretty good.
What's the temperature it gets up to? I don't know if that's a trade secret or not.
No, it's not. I find it when it's like in between 425 and 430, it like it's perfect. Yeah. It really makes the bread raise nicely and gets it nice and fluffy and puts a nice little gold color on there, like in a relatively nice amount of time. You don't want the temperature so low that it takes forever to cook, because then the bread will get stale.
Yeah.
We don't put preservatives in there, so it's got to be right.
Gotcha.
And if it's too hot, it'll just go too quick, and you'll just cook the outside, and the middle will be dough. But 425 and 430 makes, like, I feel, the perfect one.
Yeah. I started, like most people, got into sourdough during the pandemic, and I mean, I went all out. I was like, smoking brisket and porks at home and making sourdough and getting into pizza. We bought chicken. We live on the north side. I've had 6 chickens running around my backyard. I went crazy. You can ask my wife how much she loved that.
I bet.
But I got super into pizza during the pandemic, and just at home in the oven with a steel. Mm-hmm. And then the past year and a half, I've gotten into making Detroit and grandma pizzas at home, which are pan pizzas.
Yeah.
Meant really for at home pizza making. But then I just bought a wood fired those Gosney's, pizza ovens.
And those make some killers, don't they?
Yeah. I haven't experimented with the Neapolitan style, because that's a whole other animal. But the thing gets up to 900 degrees in 30 minutes.
Yep. You can really, those things they make some good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I want to get the bigger one. The bigger one, like the dome that they make, which is $3,000. It has the steam injector, so you can, do proper breads and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm fascinated by all that kind of stuff.
It's got a steam thing in it?
It has a steam injector, a puck.
That helps regulate the heat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it does that. But
we got steam pipes in our oven, 15 feet long steam pipes in it.
Oh, really?
At the top, if you were open the 2 doors and look up, you'll see these pipes.
Huh.
Those are steam pipes. They knew what they were doing back in 19-something.
Wow.
But that regulates the heat. So when we put in the first ones in the back corner, it cooks at the same time the ones in the front do.
Oh, that's interesting.
So that's why you take them all out at the same time, even though you put them in the back first.
That's really interesting. Wow.
So the steam, when you say the steam thing, that maybe it regulates the heat a little bit.
Yeah. I always thought it was at least maybe it's just for at home. I don't know how it works with commercial ovens, but a lot of the people that I see make sourdough loaves in their home ovens, they'll throw ice cubes in a tray when they put the bread in, because that helps give it a nice spring. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's just at home where you've got maybe a drier oven.
Yeah.
But it's been.
I always tell people to do that when they're reheating, when they get it and freeze it.
Oh, really?
When they refreeze it, when they freeze it and it comes out, I tell them to put kind of sprinkle it with water and then put it in the oven.
Okay.
And then it'll come out just as it does in ours.
Wow. I got really interested in Syracuse pizza history. Mm-hmm. We have Syracuse style pizza, which I think is interesting. As many people love Twin Trees and stuff, there's still plenty of people that shit on Twin Trees all the time. But at least like that's a specific style of pizza that is native to Syracuse, you know? And I love that. And like trying to find the old story of like Shuffles, Palermo, and, you know, the West Side and making it, you know, the inventor of it. Columbus is just such a massive part of Syracuse history.
It is. It is. And it's different for me because I grew up in it.
Yeah.
You know, it's been my family's thing. It was, to me, it was just where we all worked.
Yeah.
You know, and you realize things later when you get older and you're involved for longer and, you know, you see people's history with the place and what they love about it and stuff like that. You see what it really means to the city. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and then as soon as I took over, we got some kind of award for like historical stuff and, you know, everything kind of whatever. But I mean, it's definitely has that like thing. Like we were voted #1 for like when you come to Syracuse, where do you go first?
Oh, nice.
You go there first.
That's cool.
Always. I mean, it's, you know, everybody, it's known here.
Yeah.
Very well. So
Yeah, it's all over the fucking place.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is. So it's good.
I mean, like I was saying, it was like New Hope Mills. Like, so I grew up in Kentucky. My dad's from Syracuse originally, and they grew up over on the West Side and like Fairmount, Westvale area. And so, but when my mom's from Kentucky, that's where my parents met. So we grew up in northern Kentucky, and you know how Hyde's has like the food you'll like on their banner.
Yeah.
My dad had a diner in Kentucky, a 50s style diner he opened. And on the banner, it said "food you like." You know, no one knew what the fuck it was except for us. You know, but we used to like ship in New Hope Mills pancakes that they sold at the diner. And but anyways, come up to Syracuse like every year for vacation when I was a kid. We never vacationed in like Disney or anything like that. My grandparents rented a place on Skinny Atlas for the whole summer, and we went up there for a week or two. And it was always Doug's, New Hope Mills, and Columbus bread. Like those are the things.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it did not change.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you got.
Good.
You know.
That's right.
I mean, how many Guineas have the stories of driving around the north side with their dad on Sundays and Lombardi's and Columbus and eating the loaf on the way home?
And it's funny, you see the generation change. I have anyway.
Yeah.
Like when I first started, it was like their dad and the dad, the father and son.
Yeah.
And now it's the new father and son that comes now.
Yeah.
That kid had a kid, and now he's showing him. It's crazy to see.
Yeah.
You know, it makes you feel old.
Yeah,
To be honest with you, but it's good.
So do you notice, like, I mean, aside from like that, you know, analogy of like the new dad bringing the kid in, do you notice is it challenging to like still? I mean, obviously it's probably not challenging to get people in, but is it challenging to like make the newer generation of people in Syracuse aware of Columbus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Like our customer base is is an older crowd. Just because it's just what they've done. It's been part of their day.
Yeah.
And, you know, the newer crowd is, I would say the younger crowd would be more of a, like convenience. They're more into like convenience of things. I feel like if they go to the grocery store, they would pay more just because it's there.
Yeah, for sure.
Just so that they don't have to run around, you know. And whereas before, you know, it was part of their day to come. Yeah. You know, but you know, that stuff you can't really do much about. Yeah. You just have to continue doing what you do and make sure that the product is perfect.
Yeah, for sure.
That's all you can do.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that is a big thing there is something about driving around to all those places on a Sunday, you know, or whatever day it is. You know, it's like, I've got to go get bread. I have to go to Columbus, you know, or I have to go to this place to get this thing. I can't go get everything at the one store.
Sure.
Do you guys wholesale?
Yeah.
So is that like a big part of the business, or is it more retail?
It's more retail. It's more people just coming in.
Yeah.
But we have a few accounts that are really good. We have Spirits out in Cicero area.
Yeah.
They're great. They're wonderful. They've been with us for years. You know, the owner, Mark, has always been great to us and, you know, his staff. And the woman that picks up the bread every day, she's like part of our family now. She's wonderful. Nice. And then we have Zems out in Canastota.
Okay.
They come out, and they come out on Fridays. Rick's a great guy. He does a lot for the community out there. He does a lot for, you know, he's got a lot of stuff out there.
That's cool.
So he's cool. And, you know, we'll have like little accounts here and there, you know, but You know, those are the two main ones
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's I just think of like there's so many places that it's like stretch breads everywhere. And obviously Deloro's does a lot. I don't think Nino's does a lot because they've got I stopped in there and I think they've got a bread guy on like just the weekends.
Yep. They're like pastries and cookies, right?
Yeah, they do. Their big thing is their cannoli that's filled to order.
People love their stuff though.
Yes, love it. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that video I put out, and I like Lincourt just makes my favorite cannoli.
I heard they make the best donuts too.
Oh, really?
That's what I've heard.
I wonder if that's true of like the old school bakeries in the area.
I'm not a big donut guy, so I wouldn't know. But that's what a couple people have told me. They have great donuts.
Yeah. Oddly enough, I'm not a big donut guy either. But Sugar Top Bakery in Liverpool, though, is very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I go to Lincourt for the cannoli, and a lot. I think most of the comments in that video were like, "You suck. Nino's is better," which is how most of the comments go nowadays.
Okay. That's fine. Everybody's got their opinion.
Dude, social media sucks.
I'm not on it.
Oh, really?
No, I don't. I mean, the bakery's on it. I'm not.
So you're like, what, 42, 44?
I'm 41. I'll be 42 in March.
Okay. Yeah. Social media sucks for that.
Yeah.
Because like I've built this thing now. I've got over 100,000 followers, and so the videos do well.
Yeah.
And I'm traveling so much around New York and posting videos but like I'll be walking like at home, hanging out with my son, laughing. Notification on my phone, look down at it. You suck. You went to all the wrong places.
That's got to be great.
It's so
fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah. But I fire back at a lot of them. Like
you should.
Like most of the time, I'm like, listen, you're a fucking idiot. Shut the hell up. Dumb shit. But that does get me in trouble. I just lost a brand deal with AAA actually because I did a sponsored series with AAA last year. Somebody made a stupid comment on one of the videos. I fired back with like, "You sound like a dumbass," and then that person canceled their AAA membership.
Oh my gosh! So then they canceled you?
Yeah. So then AAA was like, "I don't know if we can do anything with you anymore."
Wow.
So,
what's wrong with people?
We're soft. That's the problem.
They were that mad?
They were that mad, apparently.
They stopped their membership?
I may have said,
wild.
Most of the time, if I fire back at somebody, it's usually like, "You're a dumbass," sort of a thing. But I'm just like of the opinion, like, I'm 38. I'm the youngest of four, two older brothers. And the way that I stopped being annoying as a kid, as like a teenager, is my brothers beat me up. Like more people just need to get punched in the face, I feel like.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
Like the softness it's
crazy.
It's a lot.
Dude,
it's a lot to handle. It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Because you have to be careful how you, like in my industry, like I have to be careful how I teach somebody how to make a loaf of bread. And it's almost like I get punished if I get frustrated with you. If you're not listening to what I'm saying or watching what other people are doing that have done it for years, that know what they're doing, they know the business, they know the routine.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, listen, sorry, like this is not meant for you.
Right.
Because it's not meant for everybody.
Yeah.
But they take such offense to me saying, I'm sorry, this is not meant for you. You just can't get it. Like your hands just aren't working the way they need to be working. You're just not getting it. It's not meant for you.
Yeah.
I mean, I have people coming down from the city, like filing reports. Jesus. I'm like, I just said he wasn't good. It's not for him. The softness is killing. It kills me. It really does. Oh. Luckily, the crew that I have right now are great, and I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah,
which is nice.
That's got to be tough because, like, especially nowadays, I feel like the mentality 50 years ago was, "This is my job. I have to make this work," sort of a thing. And nowadays, it's like, "Oh, I'll just go find something else."
I told my son that the generation that he is in wouldn't last with the guys that I started with.
Oh, fuck.
They would eat them alive.
Yeah.
The first loaf I ever made, I've never spoken to that guy in my life, and he took it and threw it against the wall. What is this? It's not going to do it. Yes, granted, it takes you longer to learn when they're that aggressive. Yeah. But when you learn it, those guys have had probably some of the biggest impacts in my life. We became very close friends, even though they were so much older than me. Like they have, like I still feel their presence around the bakery sometimes. They're very, very, they mean a lot to me. They've done a lot for me in my life and whatever. But this generation, they couldn't handle that.
No.
They would just quit. They wouldn't even be able to, they wouldn't last a day.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I hear what you're saying with that. That's frustrating.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, sorry for AAA. They lost one guy. Yeah. That's tough.
Yeah. I mean, baker's hours are no fucking joke.
No, they're not.
And that life. I did like, when I was in like maybe a sophomore in high school, I did like 2 months at Corso's Cookies. And even just, I will never forget that feeling of like suffocation walking in with all of the flour in the air.
Oh man, it's bad.
I mean, that could cripple somebody.
Oh yeah, we have flour everywhere. Yeah. Like you can't escape it. It's everywhere.
Yeah,
and we have, it's hard. You're there. We start at 3:45 in the morning every day.
Jesus.
So I did that for years, but I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
But when I did, I mean, just between the oven being hot and the burning of the flour that's in the oven from the day before, because you got to clean it.
Yeah.
That smell of the burned flour plus the flour it's overwhelming.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a lot.
Yeah. So you've got a good crew now, but is that a concern you've got for the future? I mean, I know you're training your son, but just making sure that you're going to be able to find the few people that are able to like respect the tradition, master the process, live the life. Yeah,
so I have a few guys there now that I'm not worried about them leaving. And I think it kind of goes with kind of everything, regardless of where you are. I feel like if you treat your employees right, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And I take care of those guys, and they appreciate it, and they do a great job. If they come across something better, then they come across something better. Good for them.
Yeah.
Got to move on in life. I understand. But the only real job I get nervous about is the 3 a.m. one, because it's just not the same anymore. Where before no one ever had a problem finding somebody.
Yeah.
Now it's like it's a struggle.
Yeah.
And the guy that I have coming in now is, he's a great guy. He's been very consistent. But he was hungry when he came here. He needed a job real bad.
Yeah.
So he has no problems doing it. But, I just don't see the younger generation doing that. I feel like, and it's, social media is now a younger generation way to make money. And, it's easy for them. It's so easy to make money now for a younger kid.
Oh, yeah.
So to slave at 3 o'clock in the morning, it just doesn't make sense for them.
No, I mean, listen, I'm, like I said, 38. I just paid my mortgage last month with TikTok.
Yeah.
With just views that I got for videos that I was posting. And so realizing that, and I am a fat, middle-aged white dude, I couldn't imagine being a hot, like young chick on TikTok. Holy shit, the amount of money that you could make.
And you don't have to do anything besides just be pretty.
Yeah. And just post shit, you know. It's crazy.
My son was telling me the other day that his friend makes money just reposting TikTok videos.
Yes, for sure.
Like, how does that even make sense? I'm looking at his videos. He's like, no. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah. I've looked into it.
It's crazy.
Yeah, if I had more time, I might. But it's nuts. Like the things that you can do. Like the amount. When I first started this 10 years ago in Syracuse, the Market Diner, still with them today, but they were my first client, and that was the time on Facebook that people were still, like, restaurants were just posting like blurry pictures of their menu, and that was their social post for the day, Yeah. And so people didn't like the word content creator, influencer, none of those things existed.
Right.
I don't know if that shift was like COVID because so many people were home, and that's when it started to, like, I noticed around COVID more like regular people were having conversations about what microphone are you using? What camera did you get? What light are you using?
Oh, wow.
Shit like that. Where before COVID, I would go out with friends and talk about some of that stuff and be like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then after COVID, it's like, oh, yeah, now I understand, the things. And it's just like, that's the whole thing with like TikTok ban. I can't imagine the countless millions of dollars that people are getting every single day.
Did you see a big change in podcasts over COVID? Like more?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I figured that.
Yeah. There was a lot more podcasts. I think at one point there was like, I forget what there was. It was like a million new podcasts in like, it was like 2 or 3 years or something stupid. Nowadays, I don't know I think then it took a hit. People weren't creating new ones as much. Yeah. Like if you create a podcast and you post 4 episodes in a row, you're in like the top 20% podcasters because so many people start it and then just stop.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of work. Like, you know, I've been doing this now for 6-7 years for the podcast.
Yeah.
And, you know, to like book guests and have all this shit.
A lot of time.
Edit it, distribute it, all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of time for sure. But it's also brought like insane opportunities. I had this massive PR company, like global PR company last year, reach out to me, and they hired me to go down to the fancy food show in New York City and go interview 3 or 4 of their Italian clients on like on the showroom floor. And so I was able to like hire my brother who lives down there, and he came down and filmed me. And I'm sitting there talking with the name of the one company was Laudemio Olive Oil, which is over 100 years old, but it's the Frescobaldi family, Frescobaldi Wines, which their winery is 1,000 years old in Italy.
Jeez.
Rusticella di Abruzzo, this pasta company that's over 100 years old. Monte Trentini, cheese company that's over 100 years old. Wow. And then the Minister of Finance and like Development for the region of Umbria in Italy.
Wow.
I mean, like this high up government official, and I'm sitting down there in my typical like Dickies shirt with my fucking Eat Local patch.
Yeah. just sat out like a sore thumb, didn't you?
Yes. Especially because like at the fancy food show, it's like in the top floor, like each nation has their own section. So when you're walking into like the Italian section, it's just fucking models.
Right.
And then like guys in $1,000 suits, everybody's talking Italian.
Yeah.
There's like truffles that are just like falling from the sky.
And it's you.
And then there's me walking around in a Dickies shirt that says "Eat Local."
Fantastic. It's perfect. Perfect fit.
I asked 2 of them. I was trying to like get a good clip, and I was like, "Have you ever had baked ziti?" They're like, "What is this baked ziti?
What is this stuff?"
But it was a lot of fun, you know.
Yeah.
That's the kind of shit that like I put Columbus into, though. It's like, it's such a massive part of the history of Syracuse and just food and bakeries in this town. It's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you said you don't like, it's not like you wake up every day and you're like, all right, I got this fucking history thing, you know?
Yeah.
I got this thing. But how do you think about that with like your son and the future generations? Are you hoping that like he's going to be stepping into your shoes in 20 years?
I have a different outlook on that than my grandfather, my dad. Like my grandfather was like, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to stop. My son's going to do it. My dad did it. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop. My son's going to do it. My son's there now. And, you know, I have 4 boys.
Okay.
And he's there now. And like I've always told all of them is that it's not going anywhere. This isn't going anywhere. You should pursue what you want to do first. And if it doesn't work, come back here. You know, my son went to school for 2 years and, you know, just wasn't for him.
Yeah.
So he's with me now. And I would love to see him continue. I would love to see that just because it's, you know, just another family generation. If he chooses to do something better with his life, he chooses to do something better. I'll support him in whatever he does. But if he wants to be the next one, I would love that.
Is he your oldest?
He's my oldest.
Yeah.
He's 21.
Okay. Yeah. He's not the 3 a.m. guy, is he?
No, not yet. Not yet. Not yet. But that's the thing that he needs to understand is if you do want to be the next generation, at that time you need to be there, you need to be there.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
yeah. That's one of the toughest parts about being a business owner is like something happens.
You're
it's
stuck
you.
with it. Yeah. It's all on you. You carry all the risk. You have to know every corner because you have to be able to produce if nobody's from there.
Exactly.
That's what happened to me this year. New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, we're usually closed and customers were begging for me to be open. And I mean, holidays for us are very hard.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. We don't have the staff we used to have. We can't find people to work anymore. So it's just us. And, you know, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
There's only so much bread you can make.
Yeah.
So I decided I was going to be open. And I gave everybody the day off, and I did it myself.
Wow.
And, you know, that's when he was like, so you can do all this by yourself? I'm like, yeah. I've been doing this for a lot of years. And you have to, and, you know, and if, you know, you're telling your customers that you're going to be here, you need to be here. Like you can't tell them one thing and do another.
Yeah.
You have to be here.
Yeah.
And if you sell out, you sell out, but you're here.
Yeah.
So, and so he was like, okay, makes sense. So he's like, now that he's getting a little older and he's been there for a little bit, he's starting to ask questions that he should be asking. So, you know, he sees me do something. He'll ask, well, what are you doing? Why are you doing it that way? It's like, okay. And then I'll explain. And then he just knows. So it's the same thing happened with me and my dad. I just asked him questions over the years, and he explained things as time went on. And then when it came time for him to be done, he was like, this is how you run the place. And then that was that. So
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder what that shift is in a business. At like how many years into that business does that understanding of I'm going to be open, you know, Christmas Day or New Year's Day, and I'm going to do it all myself because the customers want it, and there's no way around it. If I said I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there. I'm going to figure out a way to make it happen, because I know so many restaurant owners, business owners. Now, I hate when I see a restaurant owner that's like, hey, everybody, just want to let you know times have been tight, you know, so if you could come in, that'd be, you know, or like the ones that like air their dirty laundry.
Sure.
I hate that with a passion.
I'm just there with you.
And I haven't seen it as much. It was a lot more prevalent in COVID.
Yeah.
And I feel like the community was like, oh, okay, here's like, there were so many fucking GoFundMes during COVID, which, you know, like I understand, you know, to a certain extent. But nowadays, if a restaurant put on social media like, hey, we're struggling, we're going to go out of business, here's a GoFundMe, nobody would fucking care.
Yeah.
Or very few people would fucking care. But I wonder what that shift is, because I talk to so many restaurant owners and business owners where it's like, they're like maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years in, but it's like you start to see that wear on everything, on like mentally, physically, you know, on their family, on just like their will to fucking survive, where it's like, this is like going up against a fucking boulder every single day.
Yeah.
And to a point, it's like, I'm just going to fucking close. Nobody's coming in anyways, you know?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's like the analogy of like, you know, you see the meme where it's like, there's one guy, like there's the guy that's like with the pickaxe underground, like digging for gold.
Yeah.
And he like gives up when he's like one shot away from the fucking gold mine. I wonder if that's what it is, or I just wonder if there's like, is there a difference when you're 10 years in versus fucking 100 years in?
I don't know. I mean, in our business, like take for example, you know, me being open on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
We're always closed on New Year's Day. I think it's just recognizing what your customers want. You know, I think that's what it is. I mean, my grandfather in particular, I remember he was only there for a short stint after I started. Okay. He was on his way out. He was just retiring. My dad took over. He stayed with my dad for a little bit to kind of show him the business and how to run it. But he was there when I was there for a little bit. And I remember him specifically. He had a great balance between understanding the importance of a perfect product and understanding what your customers want. He had it better than anybody I've ever seen. He's always very aware of what the customers were asking for, what they wanted, how they wanted it, and he never said no. And showed, I learned a lot from a short amount of time just by watching him. So now, like as I'm older and I'm 24 years in and I've been owning it for 4 years, when there's a lot of downtime in our business because you used to let the dough raise and stuff like that. I listen to people and I, pay attention to what they ask and what they want. And when it's repetitious
Yeah.
of, are you going to be open on New Year's Day? You can be open on New Year's Day. Can you be open on New Year's Day? If enough people ask, it's going to be a good day.
Yeah.
So, and then you don't want to work your employees into the ground either, and they have families and they have things, and I had nothing going on.
Yeah.
So I asked the guy if he wanted to work. He said, yeah. I said, okay, well then we'll be open, and let people know. So,
Yeah.
I mean, people were very happy with that, but I think that stuff, for me anyway, it's just, I learned a lot from my grandfather and my dad, just understanding what customers want and paying attention to what they need. I don't know if people, I would never ask them, well, we're having a slow week. Can you please come down? I would just never do that. I think I would just carry on with my week and, whatever. But I mean, when it comes to that stuff, paying attention to what they want is something I think that not many people do anymore.
Yeah.
I think they kind of go with what they want rather than what the customer wants. And I think that's where they get hurt.
Yeah. How do you balance that mindset of listening to the customer and what they want and that repetition and not introducing new products necessarily? Because especially somebody like Columbus,
Yeah.
You guys are known for what you're known for.
Right. I think if, for example, people aren't going to come to Columbus for a wheat loaf.
Right.
They're just not going to.
Yeah.
So, you have what? When people want an Italian loaf, they're going to come to us.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. If we were to introduce new breads, they wouldn't sell.
Yeah.
They just wouldn't. It'd be a waste of product and money and time.
Yeah.
Because nobody would buy them, because you can get those anywhere.
Yeah.
They don't, but you can't get that bread anywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I mean, I don't think that would do well at all.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think one thing that would do well, which I am considering, but yeah, it's a time thing as well, is rolls. I am considering rolls, but
as someone who just started a Sunday sandwich cooking show, please start making fucking rolls.
there you go. Yeah, I'm considering that. That's a time thing too, and it's made a little different. Same ingredients and same. It's just the water.
Yeah,
it's a water thing. Well, you use warm water instead of cold water with rolls. So that's a time thing. It's an early morning time thing, and it's, I don't know. It's bouncing around in my brain.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The one thing that I can't find almost anywhere in Syracuse, which is frustrating for me, is just a hard, crusty sesame seed hoagie roll. It just doesn't exist anywhere.
Yeah.
There's one place, but it's up and down. 1 week it's great, the next week it's the densest brick I've ever had.
That's the problem.
And I don't really in Rochester, I see a little bit more of it, but it's a lot softer. It's just the quintessential New York City, hoagie roll that you see at so many Italian delis, and can't find it anywhere in upstate. And yeah, there's actually only, believe it or not, there's only one place I know of in town that hand breads their own chicken cutlets.
Really?
Only one place.
Wow.
And they're not even Italian; they're Arab.
Oh yeah,
so, yeah, they're fucking doing it.
That's okay. That's crazy though. Think about that.
Yeah, and there's not many places in Rochester either. There's only a handful in Rochester that I know of.
Wow.
But yeah, it's that's one thing I'm starting to see. I remember I did a podcast. I did an interview with this guy. He was a New York City real estate developer, and then early days of COVID, they moved up into the Hudson Valley. And I had a Zoom interview with him, sort of a podcast, and he was asking me, so what's Syracuse food like? And I was like, we're 10 years behind New York City.
Yeah.
Probably 15,
Yep.
In some instances. And, Buffalo is 4 years behind New York, and Rochester is 6 years,
Yeah.
And it just slowly works down. And I'm starting to see that shift with some restaurant owners, Zach over at Fair Deli in Lakeland. Great deli, great family. They've had it for years, and he's the type of kid. He's guy. He's the type of guy where he'll go look online and see what's popular in other major cities, and then see how he can put his spin on it.
Oh, nice.
It's
a smart way to do it.
Yeah. I do some social work for him, and we were, I was trying to convince him, and we were talking about it for like 6 months, those chopped sandwiches. You know, you just take all your shit and just chop the fuck out of it and put it in your bread.
Yeah.
And so he finally did it, and it's taken over their menu.
Really?
I mean, it's like 40-50% of their sales are just these two chopped subs now, you know.
Just throw it in there.
Yeah,
That's
so
nice.
yeah, if it's like they do like he does like a club and then like an Italian, you know, sandwich. And so with the meat and the cheese, the lettuce, whatever else you want in it, and then they put it in one of those old wood like wing bowls.
Yeah.
And they have a pizza cutter, and they just go back and forth until it's all chopped up, and then scoop that into the bread. It's surprisingly very, very good.
Sounds like something I would like.
Yeah. But so I'm starting to see that change a little bit more in Syracuse with a couple places, which has been interesting. But yeah, like I never, ever want to see Columbus is doing like sprouted wheat and, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
Like people just don't, they're not going to go there for that.
Yeah, for sure.
No way.
You know. Or all of a sudden, hey, we open up a cheeseburger ghost kitchen in Columbus.
Yeah, come on. No, it wouldn't work at all.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you this last story that my siblings who are going to listen to this are going to love. Back when my dad's restaurant guy from day one, went to school for hotel management, owned 10% in the first ever franchise Pizzeria Uno, still has the pans from the 80s when he worked there.
That's cool.
So just restaurant guy his whole life, hospitality. And now today he's 75, going to be 75 this year. Jesus Christ. 73. And he works at Lorenzo's right now.
Okay.
Dad has always had these crazy food ideas that growing up, we would just make fun of him. Okay. And he actually had Takeout Express here in Syracuse like 20 years ago, which was DoorDash and Grubhub before they ever existed.
Yeah.
But he used to take the point loaf from Columbus. This was back when we lived in Kentucky. I think he started doing it when he had the diner, and he would cut the third off and scoop it out, and he would fill it with his Italian sausage he makes, and you know, or whatever. And he called it a heel of a sandwich. And this is 25 years ago. And we would just make fun of him relentlessly. We were like, "What the hell are you like? It's a heel of a sandwich." He'd be like, "Look, it's the heel of a sandwich." And we just thought that was the dumbest thing that we'd ever heard of in our entire lives.
Yeah.
Right. Flash forward to today, one of the most popular sandwiches in New York City is the fucking Italian ice cream cone from G&R Deli, where it's that, you know, they like scoop it out and stuff it with meatballs and cheese and sauce.
Believe it or not, when we had our deli, our number one selling item was a meatball heel.
Really?
Yep.
That's awesome.
They still ask for that to this day.
That's
So
awesome.
your dad was ahead of his time.
He was definitely ahead of his time.
That's it. It's good.
He had these ideas like 5 or 6 years ago. He wanted to do a barbecue thing, and so he was just thinking of names. He would tell me, he was like, "What do you think of this name?" And it was like Up in Smoke and Smoke in Your Eyes and stuff like that. And I'm like, "Dad, come on." I can't tell you how many times I've driven by barbecue restaurants around New York that all have those names.
He's way ahead of his time, for sure.
Yeah. Well, Jimmy, thank you so much for coming in, man.
I appreciate you, man.
It was a complete honor and pleasure to sit down and chat with you. So thank you.
You got it.